understand.
Ernest Kalibara, Frederick Mpanga, Aaron Kizza. For A1 and A2, and for A3, Simon Nsubuga. For the state, Richard Biribumbuka, Chief State Attorney. These are
and court granted him permission to address court, but through writing. Which was supposed to be filed before the 3rd day of October 2025. And together from my lord, this honorable court will address the concerns of the accused person as addressing that letter. Hello. Hello.
We are the ones to raise concerns. Yeah, but we have a senior counsel here, Martha Karua, who would ordinarily do that procedure.
And we are ready to proceed. Which he filed Saturday this month. This court had given the accused opportunity to put all his concerns in writing so that court is able to address them. Since he still wants to address court as per that letter, let him go ahead and address raising concerns.
Concerns we wish to raise are two very small concerns, and I'm grateful that you've granted us the opportunity to do so. We are not just being for example, if I want to communicate my anguish cannot be written, can only be seen on me. And so it's important that I speak and you capture how I look like. You can see what I feel. So, my lord, on the first concern, just to give it a small background, it's a concern about our presence in this court. And the background is that we visited Nairobi, Kenya on the 16th of November last year as a normal visit through our airport here, through Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and into our hotel. But shortly thereafter, while at a meeting, we were grabbed by armed men who introduced themselves as Kenyan police, and we were instructed that we were under arrest. We were bundled from the meeting room into a vehicle. And apart from a short stop at a petrol station to fill their tank, the vehicle we were bundled in only stopped in Malaba, where after a short stop on the Uganda border, Uganda-Malaba police, where after a short while another vehicle came and we were put into it and driven straight to Makindye military barracks. So the first background to this is that we were really kidnapped and brought back to Uganda by force and detained in a military barracks. We are not soldiers, where we were held incommunicado for 4 days. So the history to our being here is that illegal rendition and detention in a military facility outside the law. From there, we were produced in the military court-martial. A court-martial that had been already declared unconstitutional several times by the Constitutional Court. So we were taken to a court that was illegal, and in the knowledge of the state that it was an illegal court. And it is that court that remanded us to Ruzira prison, where we still are. Of course, as everyone knows, the court was later on in January conclusively declared illegal, unconstitutional, and scrapped. We remained in illegal custody after the court had declared, the court that remanded us as unconstitutional, because the remand warrant we were given, which took us to Ruzira, expired. We had expected that following that judgment, if they still wanted to prosecute us, they would take us to a police station, and a new process would begin. But we remained in illegal detention until we were charged in Nakawa in February this year. It is the Nakawa court that indicted us. Oh. Yeah, it is the Nakawa court that indicted us on the 29th of May of this year. And I have a copy of the indictment here. I don't know whether it is different from what you have, my lord, or what prosecution has, or other people. Because my indictment clearly states and this is on the 29th of May, that take notice that you will be tried, and that is the three of us, A1, A2, A3. Take notice that you will be tried on the above indictment at the sessions of the International Crimes Division of the High Court, beholden at so and so. So we were indicted to be tried at the International Crimes Division, which is a division of the High Court that is very different from this one by composition and by its processes, the procedures. So, and the reason I give the background of the illegality that we have faced in the last about 1 year is that we seem to be in another wrong court. And we don't know whether this is part of, again, a process that will just keep us delaying to have this matter disposed of. The second matter, my lord, is that before the summons or the warrant to bring us for beginning this trial, we had appeared before you in a matter of our application for mandatory bail. And arising out of the ruling that you made, which ruling seriously stunned us. Because especially in your ruling, my lord, you indicated that the court was not aware of matters to do with our earlier charges in the court martial, in the general court martial. There was no record of a charge sheet and the case number. There was no record of the remand that we were detained on. That all that was available to you was the case of Nakawa, and that since the court can't be an investigator to find out what happened before, you made the conclusions that you did. This was very disturbing because not only were all the documents and details of the general court martial process filed together with our application, the very affidavit that we saw, it is myself and my colleague and friend here, Ajobeid Lutale, both affidavits indicated how we had been arrested in Nairobi, how we were brought to Kampala, how we were charged in the court martial and remanded. Sections of the affidavit that I am referring to were concurred with, were accepted as truth by the prosecution. You were not contested. But of course, on top of that, our lawyers here in open court made extensive reference to those very documents and to more than even what was filed. So, my lord, we considered that your treatment of our application either showed we considered that either you are grossly incompetent, if you could not read what was on file before you, or at least biased, both of which we to be very serious matters, because we run to court, everybody looks at court as a temple of justice. And so, my Lord, we were compelled to file a complaint against you with the Uganda Judicial Service Commission. And if you have not received a notification of that complaint by the Judicial Service Commission, as they are required to extend it to you, I'm sure you will receive it. And so these two issues tie up. In this case in which we are charged to be in another court, we end up still in your court. In fact, today, my Lord, apart from the intended commencement of a trial, you have set aside today to hear our second bail application today. This was the application we made in April of this year. But my Lord, in your ruling regarding the mandatory bail, You categorically stated that it is my considered view that priority be given to hearing the main case other than bail applications. In other words, you already have a view about bail applications, that they are useless. What is important is to hear the case. Have expressed that view in writing under the court seal. So that you also hear another bail application. Maybe that's why our case also ended up here instead of the court where it was supposed to be, so that you are sure now that the trial has begun and the applications for bail are redundant. So in summary, my Lord, one, we seek to understand why we are not in the International Crimes Division, to where we were indicted. And two, whether and two, my Lord, whether in light of what just said about my complaint, our complaint, my complaint and the complaint of my colleague, Haj Obeid Rutale, against you, which complaint in fact seeks one of the things that it could achieve would be to remove you from the office of judge. Whether in those circumstances you consider that it is still prudent that you continue with the processes of establishing justice for us. That's all, my Lord, that constitutes my that's what constitutes the concerns that my colleague here, Haj Obeid, and myself wanted to present to you. And as I have said, they are matters of very, very grave concern. We've been in jail for nearly a year now. They are not young people that can be easily adjustable. We have lost so much at a personal level that we would be doing. Yeah, so, my Lord, I'm grateful that you have allowed us finally to present these concerns to you and to this court. In case the Judicial Service Commission has not extended our complaint to you, I have a copy here which we can gladly avail you, my Lord.